you. Tell us more about your family, your background, your children, your wife.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Can you hear me all?
Yes.
Alhamdulillah. So, I'll talk about a little bit about my family. We are from Bangladesh. We are Bangladeshi. Me and my wife are from Bangladesh. I'm from Bogora, Bangladesh, and my wife is from Dinaspur, Bangladesh. But my kids, they are all born in USA. I have 3 kids, Maisha, and then Maryam, and Fatima is the youngest, right? Alhamdulillah. So, a little bit about myself. I'm a software architect working in Verizon Wireless. Most of my time I spend in my office for my office work. But outside of that, I can tell you one thing, that the remaining of my time I spend on my kids, right? Maryam, Fatima, and Maisha, for their how they become a good Muslim. So that is our main goal. We want to make them a good Muslim, to learn Quran. My wife is very dedicated to teach them Quran. She's the main teacher of all 3 of my kids. And then, of course, my kids also, they spend a lot of time memorizing the Quran and also excelling in academics. As for my daughters, right, my elder daughter just recently got married, like literally a couple of weeks back, right?
So they look young there.
Yeah, Maisha, she's also a software engineer like me. Maria was saying, right, that our goal is not only my kids excelling in Quran memorization, but they are equally successful in this world, right? That is one of the main motivation that we spend a lot of time with our kids. And I'll tell you maybe in a different question how actually it happened, right? Inshallah, if I get a chance. My daughter Maisha, she, for example, you will be inshallah inspired by hearing that. My daughter Maisha, she actually worked in NASA, right? You know the company NASA, for 1.5 years. Now she's working in Verizon Wireless like me as a software engineer. But alhamdulillah, she's continuing to memorize in the Quran. She memorized like 10 or 12 juz, and she's continuing because she started a little late. Maryam and Fatima start early than my elder daughter. But alhamdulillah, they are all on the path of memory.
Excellent, mashallah. Jazakallah khair for the nice introduction. So I will ask you one more question, then we'll get to Fatima and Maryam. I'm sure everybody's curious. At the age of 7, at the age of 9, mashallah, they managed to memorize the Quran. How did it all start? There must have been some sort of a vision, even before they were born, to get them to that stage. So tell me a little bit more about their childhood and the role of your role and the mother's role in this whole thing.
Excellent question. What motivates us to put our kids in the path of Quran, right? So I'll tell you a very small story, and then maybe I'll tell another elaboration a little bit on that. So when Maryam, my wife was pregnant with Maryam, that was 17, 18 years ago. So what happened? She was diagnosed at Down syndrome, right? The doctor says, they do a lot of blood tests and these tests, that test. So they said this child will be born as a Down syndrome baby. And Down syndrome is very serious. They are retarded on many different things, right? So my wife then suggested that maybe let's dedicate if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us a normal child, let's dedicate this child in the path of Quran, right? Let's make her, we don't know at that time, he or she. We knew that after 3 months that it was she. So make her dedicate her life to memorize the Quran. We actually kind of promised to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that if the child is born as a normal child, then we'll dedicate her life for the memorization and for the betterment of this ummah. And that's what we did. That is our first motivation. So we started the journey. That's why you saw that my elder daughter is not Hafiza, because at that time we didn't have we are like any of the other people, right? That we are just living our regular life 5 times, but then we are not really focused on our kids to the path of Quran.
And mashallah, this reminds me of the story of the mother of who? Maryam. Maryam, right? Maryam. MashaAllah, and how she committed to Allah Azza wa Jal. She made a pledge that if Allah Azza wa Jal has honored her with a daughter or a son, that she would dedicate them to the worship of Allah Azza wa Jal. So what are you going to get to right now?
Maybe one just point, just to like finish that story. Actually, I forgot to mention that the doctors were like sure so much so that this baby will be Down syndrome. In the operating room, when Maryam will be about to be born, they actually put, and then I was there in the operating room, and Maryam was born, and then everything seems very normal, right? I asked the doctor, what do you think? And yeah, she seems to be very normal. Alhamdulillah. So I'm pretty sure because of my wife's dua, because of our dua, Allah might have changed the plan and give us a very normal baby.
Thank you so much. Yes, I have a question for you. Maryam, tell me a little bit about what you remember from your childhood. How did it all start for you? How do you remember the very early stages of your childhood?
Okay, so I remember, well, I don't really remember that much from when I was very young, but there are like some videos that I've watched to kind of jog my memory a bit. My mother would always, play some Quran, whether she was doing like any household work or anything, playing what I was playing or doing anything. I'd always be listening to the Quran, and actually she would also be reciting it herself, like small surahs from Juz Ahmad while she was doing her work. It's kind of like how little kids learn nursery rhymes. If you keep playing them, they'll automatically memorize them. So it's like I kept hearing the Quran, and that's how I got to memorize from such a young age, like 2 or 3 years old. And so that's kind of how it all started. I got more regular in my memorization when I was older, like 6 or 7. But in the beginning, it was purely based on listening to my mother and listening to.
So at this moment, I want you to point to your mother. And I want the mother, if you can stand up, please. And a big round of applause to the mother of the generation, MashaAllah. Jazakumullah khairan. MashaAllah. Maryam, tell me a little bit more about how you started to memorize Quran. Did you have a shaykh? Did you have a teacher? Did you, of course, after you got the background Quran from your mother, how did you formalize the process of actually starting to memorize?
So my mother was my teacher. I didn't have any other teachers while memorizing the Quran. I went to an Islamic school where they had a mixed program, and we were actually thinking of putting me in that program, right? But we didn't end up doing it. I stayed in the regular study section, and I memorized at home with my mom. Every day coming home from school, I would do like a page or two, and I kind of just became regular like that around the age of 5, 6, 7. Alhamdulillah. After like two years, I completed my memorization. Alhamdulillah. And then my father and my mother put me into classes to continue my revision and get ijazah. Alhamdulillah.
Excellent, mashallah. Brother Masud, how did you motivate Maryam at such a young age? At 6 years old, they're barely in school, right? And they have so many distractions around them. They want to play, right? They don't want extra homework. They want to go back from school, especially the first year or two from school. How do you manage to keep that motivation going?
Thank you, brother. This is an important question. Actually, Maryam kind of answered this question implicitly. So, remember, she mentioned that she was not in a HIPS school. She was rather in a regular Islamic school. The reason we did not put Maryam and even Fatima in the HIPS school, because sometimes HIPS school has a very strict rule, like, you have to memorize like 4 pages or 5 pages, and then also they may be a little bit lacking on the academic side. But we want to establish Maryam and Fatima as a proof that you don't necessarily, of course, going to HIPS school is good. There is no problem with that.